Hello and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Welcome back. It's lovely to see you. And I hope you had a fantastic new year with your families, wherever you are in the world. But now it's back to studying English again. I know who did have a very good time this Christmas and the New Year. It's my good friend from Put It Like This. Don't be fooled by cheap imitations. Lynn, how are you?
I'm fine, Craig. Happy New Year to everybody. I can see that some people are joining us already. Fabiana, Aldo, Norma, hello again. Patricia, Arturo.
Happy New
So
Year.
Happy New Year to you all, and Hema as well. Hello, Hema. And Fabiana must have got it. Did you notice, Fabiana, how sexy our introduction was? Craig's got some very sort of groovy music going when we start our live class.
I can
Did you
be
catch that,
really cool. I
Fabiana?
can be really sexy as long as I stay in my chair in front of the screen and I don't move anywhere. Then I'm fine. It works.
So that's maybe because the class today is called Out with the Old and In with the New. So that's the new part of our Facebook classes. We're going to have that sexy music every time. Is that right, Craig?
If you like it, we can. If it works, we can use it every time. Why not?
Okay.
So, you're feeling okay. You're not feeling, because I thought you were out of it recently.
I was, and I think you have also been a little bit out of it this week. You
I
got knocked
have.
out. So we better tell everybody. Craig and I on separate occasions this week. I think you had yours on Sunday, is that right?
Correct.
Uh-huh. And I had mine on Monday. We went for our booster vaccines, our third shot of the COVID vaccine, and it completely knocked Craig out. It knocked him out, which is a phrasal verb, without. And it meant that you were completely ill. You were very ill, weren't you, with it?
I wasn't.
You
I
felt
wasn't. I
fluey
wasn't
and
very ill, but I did stay in bed most of the day on Sunday because I was aching. My bones were aching, and as we said before, I felt out of it. If you feel out of it, you're not yourself. You don't feel yourself. You feel different in a negative way. I was out of it. I wasn't very well.
And I had mine on Monday evening, and on Tuesday morning I was fine. But yesterday afternoon I also started to feel out of it, so I took to my bed as well. But today we're back to normal. Is that right?
Yeah.
We're back
Today
fighting fit.
we're not out. We're in today. So before we look at some expressions and phrasal verbs connected to out, which we hope will improve your vocabulary, we've got the title for today's broadcast, Out with the Old and In with the New. Why is that a typical expression, Lynn, at this time of year?
Well, it's usually something that we say, I think, after the change of the year. So at the beginning of January, when the new year is just beginning, and it often refers to maybe habits that we want to change. Would you say habits? Yeah, habits or customs or
Mhm.
something from our old lives that we don't want anymore. So we say, out with it, out with the old. Let's put it out. Let's get away, make it go away, and let's welcome the new things into the new year. So that's a very common expression: out with the old and in with the new. Has that applied to you, Craig, in any way at the start of this new year?
Well, I have got some new ideas and things connected to work, and I'll share that with you later. But apart from that, no, apart from that, everything else is pretty much the same as it was last year. Coronavirus is still with us. We're still living in a very restricted way, at least socially. But really, everything for me is just continuing as it was back in December last year. What about
Mhm.
you?
Well, if you've noticed, I'm growing my hair. I decided I wouldn't get my hair cut again. I've been having very short hairstyles. So I decided this year, no, out with the old hairstyle and in with the new. So
Good for
during the
you.
course of this year, hopefully you'll see my hair growing again, and I'm going to let my hair grow long, I think, this year.
Well, I think it's going to look very nice. So the idea of this word out, obviously the opposite of in, that's clear when it's used as a preposition. But sometimes when you speak about going out of the country, be careful because the correct expression is abroad. And sometimes I think we hear, Lynn, don't we? Some students say, "Oh, I'm going out." If you say you're going out, that means you're leaving your house or your flat. You're leaving your home, usually to enjoy yourself. I'm going out for the night.
I think it refers more to outside. So you're inside somewhere, and if you say I'm going out, you're going outside. But we don't mean that we don't mean, there's no implication that you're going to a different country. So if you're going to a different country, you're obviously also leaving your home, but it's a bit of a bigger step to go to another country. So if you go to another country or another city, could also be another city. With another country, we say I'm going abroad, don't we?
Yep.
And if you were going to another city, you'd say I'm going to another city. Yeah.
Yep.
You
And name the city. Yeah. I'm going to
uh-huh.
Madrid. I'm going to Sao Paulo, whatever.
Uh-huh.
So the idea of out is to go in an outward direction. So as we're going through these expressions, try to remember that the opposite of in, out, to an outward direction. And as Lynn said, to go out is the phrasal verb, but there's also an adjective, to be outgoing. And if your personality is outgoing, that's the opposite of being, what would you say, Lynn? Timid,
Introverted,
shy,
timid, introverted.
introverted.
If you're outgoing, it means you are very sociable, that you approach other people, you approach new experiences, that you look for new experiences, you look for new people to meet. And that makes you an outgoing person rather than an introspective person or an introverted person.
I wonder if we have any outgoing people watching us at the moment live. I know Gemma's quite outgoing because she's very chatty and very friendly in the chat. Are there any outgoing people here watching us at the moment? Do you consider yourself outgoing, or are you more introverted? Let us know what you
And
think.
yeah, and while you're letting us know what you think, I just want to focus everybody a little bit as well on the grammar that you're going to see here now, because the word out is a preposition. So you're going to see it today in lots of conversations, in combinations, lots of combinations. So, and the majority of combinations is making it as part of a phrasal verb. And when we have a phrasal verb, of course, we have a preposition and we have the verb. But from the phrasal verb, often we create new words, and we can create adjectives, like in this case, or we can create nouns, which we'll see shortly. You can also create adverbs sometimes. Okay. Now, the thing is, though, maybe you want to just notice a little bit as we're going through the position of the word out, because here in the phrasal verb we have the verb and the preposition to go out, but in this case when we've made the adjective, we've changed the order and we've written the word together. We've said outgoing. Now, it's not always like that, but it's something that you should notice as we're going along, and then you'll be able to expand your vocabulary a little bit more. Okay.
Let's look at another example with the phrasal verb and the adjective. So we've got another phrasal verb without, to stand out. If you're a Spanish speaker, you could translate that as sobresale, I think, if something stands out from the
Or
rest.
destacar sometimes as well.
Descatado, sí, descatar.
As well sometimes.
Exactly. So, for example, if you stand out from the crowd, then you're very noticeable. People notice you. something that stands out from a picture or from the screen, jumps out at you, jumps at you, and you see it very prominently. And if something is outstanding, that's the adjective. So it could be an outstanding performance of an actor. It could be an outstanding photograph, for example.
And it has an even stronger meaning, I think, the adjective. It does mean that it's noticeable, but it's also very positive adjective. So when you say something is outstanding, it also has this element that it is excellent. Yeah. So the adjective is even more powerful, I think, than the verb. The verb to stand out simply means that people notice it. It is noticeable. But it doesn't have any connotation about whether it's excellent or not. It might not be excellent. It might just be odd or strange or unusual. But when we say the adjective, it is outstanding, we always mean it is excellent. Now, I think you have something outstanding right now, Craig.
That's very kind of you to say that,
I
Lynn.
saw
Yes.
something outstanding of yours this week. Tell everybody.
I will tell you, I finally finished my B2 first course to prepare for the B2 examination.
Yay!
So let me thank you. Let me speak about that for a minute, because I need to test it now with a group of 10 students. It's a course that I've taught for many, many years in the British Council here in Spain in a classroom with face-to-face students. But I've converted it to a video-based course, and it's going to be for online on the internet. Now, I want to test it with a small group. The normal price of the course is going to be €287 for this 30-day video intensive course. But because I'm going to test it with a group first, and I need their feedback and their opinion, it's only €37. The reason I want you to
That's
pay
a bargain.
The reason I want you to pay something is just so that I'm sure you're serious about taking the course, that you will finish the course, and that you will agree to give me some feedback and do a questionnaire at the end. So it's going to start on Monday. That's the 17th of January, this Monday coming. And you need to be able to work for about 45 to 60 minutes a day watching the video, and then every week we'll come together on Zoom. But I won't tell you too much about the course. It's probably better if you're thinking about taking the B2 exam, and I'll leave the address in the chat so you can go and have a look if you want more details. And you can also do a level test, and if you score 60% or more with the level test, then you should be okay to do the course, and I'll chat with you for 10 minutes on Zoom. So if you follow that link that I've put in the chat room, you'll see this, and then all you do is look at the details of the course. It's the premium course that you'll be following. So those are the details there, and that's the thing to click, and that will take you to do the level test. You put your email here, and then automatically you'll do the test, which will take 10 to 15 minutes. And then you'll see if you get 60% and you've more or less got the B2 level. You can send me an email and we'll speak about it. So yeah, I'm very excited. I've got 8 people so far. I need 2 more. So there are only 2 places, but if you are interested, please let me know and do the test.
Well, I haven't seen all of your course, but I've seen a part of it because you were kind enough to share it with me, and I thought it was outstanding. I really did. So if anybody's interested in doing it, I'm sure, and this is a huge opportunity at that price to do a 30-hour course. Now, I just want to refer back to the chat file. Camino, first of all, Hema says she's outgoing, but she's also a little bit shy too. I can understand that too. But,
me too, Emma.
But you're outgoing. You're outgoing. And Camino said, is outstanding the same as notorious?
Not
And I
really.
don't think it is. Notorious means that many people know about it. Many people know about it, but there is an element of the word notorious that is negative. So isn't it? Would you say so? So if
Yeah.
something is notorious, it's notorious. It's got a bad reputation, or it's got a reputation for something that is not 100% positive. So I would say outstanding is this is excellent, this is fantastic. If something is notorious, many people know about it, and the reputation isn't always good. Would you say that?
I would say it's mostly bad. I would say
Mhm.
I'm checking on Google just to make 100% sure.
Yeah,
Most commonly means famous or well known for a negative reason.
for a negative
It's
reason.
especially used to describe people who are widely known and viewed unfavorably, so badly,
Mhm.
for their
Mhm.
actions. So we'd say a notorious criminal, for example.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
a
Or,
notorious.
or possibly, you could say Donald Trump is a notorious politician for causing controversy.
Depending
Uh-huh.
on your views, there are people who support him, of
No,
course.
but I think everybody would agree that he causes controversy. Yeah, that he
Oh,
causes
that's
mixed
true.
opinions. Yeah, and
Yes,
so you
yes.
could say he's notorious
True.
for
Yep.
causing controversy, because he causes. He's very unusual in his opinions, and it causes conflict. So often.
Definitely. He's
Uh-huh.
notorious for causing controversy. That's true.
Controversy.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a little bit different there, but outstanding, very positive. Notorious is negatively charged. Shall we move on with out?
Let's move on. So,
Mhm.
another phrasal verb, you can back out of something. There isn't an adjective that you can use for this, is there? You can't say, well,
No,
you can say outback,
but
but
that's got a
that's a
completely
noun.
different meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to
Yeah.
back out of something means to take a step back. Imagine you commit to doing something. For example, we're having a party and Lynn volunteers to make the cake. And one day before the birthday party, she says, "Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm too busy. I've got too many students. I can't make the cake." So Lynn has backed out of making the
The
cake.
cake.
Notice the preposition of. You back out of
Hmm.
doing something. Always a gerund after a preposition.
Hmm. Hmm.
Have you backed
Okay.
out of doing anything recently?
Recently, have I backed out of doing anything recently? Well, I have really. I did start before Christmas, contrary to my better judgment. I started to run again. I'm not a runner. I'm a terrible runner. But before Christmas, I started to try to jog, and I thought, oh, this is quite good. I could do this. This would be
Mhm.
good for me. I should do it. But since January started, I haven't gone at all to run. So I've kind of backed out of my New Year's resolution already.
Well,
I don't think I'm going to run.
that's interesting because my New Year's resolution was to run as well, but I never started. So I didn't back out. I didn't
You
back
just
out.
never
I
started.
just never started. Hi,
Mhm.
Christine. Christine's with us.
Yeah,
Happy New
hello,
Year.
Christine. And Eduardo. And Eduardo's just asked a question there.
Yeah. How
He
would you
said,
say
how would you
something
say something that's well known but without the negative connotation?
famous?
Famous for, with the preposition for.
Yep.
It's famous, or renowned is another one.
That's
Renowned for
positive.
or famous for.
Mhm.
And that would be very positive. Okay, so to back
Okay.
out of
To
something.
back out. To hang out. What
Mhm,
does that mean?
mhm. Now, to hang out, um, first of all, I want to go back to the idea of out, because now with the phrasal verbs that are coming, it's a kind of slightly different notation. I think there are two kind of main meanings with out. One means if you have a perimeter, if you imagine a square, you can be inside the square or outside. So in and out. That's, if you like, I'll call that location, right? But the other meaning of out is this movement, a movement of direction outwards like that, like the way I'm moving my hand. And when we say to hang out, usually this means to be with your friends, yeah? But the idea of hanging out means that you're not in a specific location, but you are outside on the street, possibly, or just spending time with these people. Right? It's the idea of going to meet somebody. Yeah. So again, this movement to hang out with people. Would you say that?
Yeah,
Would you agree? Yeah.
definitely. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
And a hangout is the noun. Now, notice in this situation, we've kept the order from the verb hang out. We haven't said out hang, we've said hang out. And hangout, many people know that, I think, from, is it Apple when they have hangouts, or is it Google?
Google
It's
Hangouts.
Google Hangouts, which is basically a virtual space where you can meet with your friends, where you go and you meet with them.
Okay. The next one we have is breakout. Speaking of technology, if you have used Zoom, you might notice that there are breakout rooms where you can separate from the main group and you can break out to a different conversation and speak in a smaller group. But breakout has more than one meaning. Remember, with phrasal verbs, very often you have a literal meaning and you have idiomatic meanings, or one idiomatic meaning, or more than one idiomatic meaning. For example, recently I've noticed that my skin isn't very healthy and I've broken out in spots. So you can break out in a rash and you start scratching because it's itching. So that's one use of breakout. Of course, you can break out of prison. If you're locked up in a cell, in a prison cell, in a prison, you escape. Another way of saying to escape from prison is to break out of prison. Can you think of any other
And again, that's the
uses?
movement. Yeah. Think of
The
that
movement.
movement forwards, to break out and you're running away. Okay. And I think it's the same with your skin. You have something underneath your skin that is trying to escape and you break out in spots, for example. And I think from the Zoom, it's come into that virtual language in Zoom and in Teams and those breakout rooms. It's an opportunity to escape from the main classroom. So
Yeah.
that's why they're called breakout rooms. So it means you could go away and you don't have to follow with the teacher. You can go in a separate space and talk to another student.
Another one is burst out.
Mm-hmm.
For example, to burst out laughing is to suddenly begin laughing.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other meanings of burst out?
Well, burst out can also be from like breakout. It's like moving outwards. If you burst, it's a sudden movement forward. So if you burst out of the bedroom, maybe the bedroom door was closed and you burst out of the bedroom, it means you open the door very quickly and come forward. But usually it's used with things like burst out laughing. And it's the idea that you have a laugh inside you and then suddenly it just
Bursts
erupts
out.
like a volcano. To erupt, it bursts out.
And that sounds quite positive, doesn't it? But if you have an outburst when you use the noun, that tends to be negative.
That's true. And that's often for bad temper. So if you suddenly get angry or neurotic, you might say, "Oh, Craig, you had an outburst. You must control your temper. You had an outburst of anger." Yeah. If you suddenly start shouting at somebody and say, "Don't do that." Yeah. That's an outburst. And so we often say, "Oh, somebody had an outburst," or "somebody had an unpleasant outburst," or
Yeah.
an unexpected outburst. And usually we refer to a bad temper or an explosion of anger, if you like.
I remember my dad used to have outbursts of anger, especially in the car. He was a very volatile driver.
I
And
think most people are in the car. That's road
yeah,
rage, they call that.
he
Road
suffered from,
rage.
and he had often had outbursts. And I remember that when I was younger, when I was a young boy, that he used to scream and shout at people in the cars. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, next one. To cast out. Again, as Lynn explained at the beginning, always remember this idea of a hacia afuera, to go outwards, to go in that direction, out, the opposite of in. So when you cast something, think of fishing, because the verb to cast when you fish is to throw the hook or throw the line out, to cast out into the ocean or to cast out into the river. And if you cast someone out of a society, for example, then you expel them. You throw them from the inside to the out. Notice that that can be separable. You can separate the verb from the particle. To cast someone out of society.
And the
Um,
person who is expelled is the outcast.
exactly, the
So if you
outcast.
don't feel that you are a member of a group or a community and the other people don't accept you, then you are an outcast. An outcast.
Must say a
Oh,
quick hello to my friend Jose Ignacio, who is now in Las Canarias. He's traveling around.
Lovely.
And I had a coffee with him in Valencia when he was in Valencia recently, and he went down south to Seville, and he's traveling around and having a great time with his sister, seeing Europe. So I
Oh,
hope
lovely.
you're having fun, Jose,
On the
and
Canaries, yeah.
thanks for popping in and saying hello, and Happy New Year to you as well. So yeah, a social outcast, to be an outcast. What's the next expression? To come out.
This is an
This
interesting
is an
one.
interesting one.
Right. So obviously it can be the idea of direction. So I came out of the classroom, which means
Physically,
that physically I
literally,
left the classroom, right? I came out of something,
the
I
room.
leave. Notice as well that all the phrasal verbs in English, or nearly all of the phrasal verbs, have another verb which means exactly the same, and that verb is Latin based often. Yeah. So we have like the equivalent of to cast out is to expel. Yeah. The equivalent of to come out can be to leave, for example. Okay. Now, to come out can mean that very literally, but as Craig said before, many of these phrasal verbs have multiple meanings. And we also use the word to come out in the sense of reveal. So think of that Latin equivalent verb to reveal. Now, we use this in contexts, for example, with gender definition. So people say, I came out as gay, or I came out as lesbian, or I came out as, there's lots of different things now, non-binary or other definitions, right? Now, when you come out in that sense, that means that you have announced publicly, you have revealed the classification or the definition that or the group that you want to identify with. Then you have come out, you have revealed the truth to the world, you have come out. And we also can use the verb come out with the word truth. The truth will come out eventually.
Reveal itself.
What happened? What happened with let me think of something in the news, with the sex scandal with Prince Andrew? What happened? Well, we don't know, but the truth will come out eventually. The truth will be revealed, or the truth will be uncovered.
Speaking of Prince Andrew, did you see on the news today that they're going to try him in America?
Yes, yes. That's
Yes.
that's why it was top of
That's
my
on the
mind when
top
I
of
was
your
thinking of a
mind.
news story,
So the
because
truth
I
will
read that.
come out
The
about
truth will come out.
Prince
And we can
Andrew.
also use it when we are talking in the past tense. It came out that, yeah, I was talking to Craig the other day, and it came out in conversation that he has created a new course for B2, and it was so exciting, right? So I can say it came out in conversation.
Just to add one small thing to Lynn's definition, to come out with your gender, to come out sexually, which I thought was very well explained. You might hear the euphemism to come out of the closet, which is
Yes.
sometimes used when people declare their sexuality and how they want to be identified. But of course, when it's a noun outcome, it doesn't have that meaning. The outcome is what happens at the end.
It's
So
the
the
result.
outcome, the result, thank you. The outcome of the meeting was blah, blah, blah. Or the outcome of the competition was that he won the prize for whatever. So it's what happens at the end or as a result. One other use, I don't know if it's connected to what we've already explained, but that when you use come out to say, for example, you have a stain on your shirt and you wash it.
Yes.
Has that stain come out, or is it still there? Has it disappeared?
Has it disappeared? Has it come out?
Yeah, has it come out?
Come out. And also, actually, if we can go back, I've just realized as well that we said outcome is result. Result. But we can use the phrasal verb to come out to mean result. Craig's wife, your wife, is always wonderful baker, isn't she? And whenever she makes cookies, they always come out perfectly. I'm very jealous because she makes wonderful cookies. And every time Craig's wife bakes the cookies, they always
Craig comes out of his office.
Yeah, Craig comes out of his office and the cookies always come out perfectly. They always come out perfectly, which means they always, the end result is perfect. It came out well. And also we can say that for exams. How was the exam? How did you do? Oh, it came out well. Thanks. That's what my daughters often say.
Eduardo has a question. The truth will always prevail. Yes, you can say that, but not in the same meaning as reveal. The truth will always win. You could maybe say as prevail, or the truth will always be the positive dominating factor against lies, for example. So the truth will always win. The truth will always prevail. You can say that, Eduardo. To hand out, another phrasal verb, obviously this is your hand, and if you give something to someone, you're handing out something. Often this happens in a classroom. You've got some students, the teacher has got some papers, and I'm going to hand out this exercise. I'm going to give you this exercise. Or at the end of the lesson, I'll hand out your homework. I will give you your homework. And the name of the piece of paper that has your homework on it, we need the noun, is the handout. So do you have the handout from last lesson, for example? Another meaning of handout can be if you give someone something to help them. You give them free money, you give them free food, you give them a blanket or a coat. You could say that that's a handout. That's something free of charge to help someone. Are there any other meanings of handout?
Handout. No, I think
that's it.
I think that's it. Yeah, certainly. If the gift of giving something for free is a handout, but I think a handout, when we say, because I'm realizing now when I'm saying gift, if we think about giving somebody some money or a blanket or a free meal, and we say it's a handout, that word has two connotations. One is that it's free, but would you agree, Craig, that the second connotation is slightly negative?
It can be negative, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not the same as a gift. A gift is a very positive word. Yeah. So if you give something as a gift, it's something to be enjoyed and it's lovely and it's free, obviously, because it's a gift. But it's a very positive word. But you often see the word handout used in a negative sense in the press. So if you can imagine a political party is criticizing a social policy. So maybe the social policy is to give extra benefits to people who are unemployed, for example. You might find very, very the other extremes in the political scene. They might say, we have to stop these handouts. The country cannot afford these handouts. And it's the idea of a gift that is negative because we can't afford it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moving on, we've got takeout, which is similar in one meaning to take away. So you might go out for a takeout, for example, a Chinese takeout or a Chinese takeaway, which means you're buying Chinese food to eat elsewhere in a different place. An Indian takeaway, a Chinese takeaway, fish and chip takeaway. It's food that you remove and eat somewhere else. And the nouns reflect the same meaning. So it's a takeout, it's a Chinese takeout or a Chinese takeaway. I think, Lynn, a takeout is more used in American English and takeaway in British English. Yeah?
Could be, yeah. I did discover last week, actually, by chance, when we were preparing this, I just come across it in another class with a student. There is one occasion where take out and take away are different, where they mean different things. And it's to do with when you collocate them with the word rubbish. So if you take out the rubbish, that means you have got rubbish in your house in a bag. You tie the bag and you take it out and you put it in the bin.
You're taking it outside.
You're taking it outside of the kitchen, outside of your house, and you put it in the bin. Now, in Spain, our bins are on the street. There are big bins. In Britain, every household has a bin, right? But then after you have taken out the rubbish collection, the rubbish collectors, the bin men, they come and they take the rubbish away
to a different place,
which is the idea of taking it away permanently. So there is, in that sense, with rubbish, then it is different, the meaning. To take out the rubbish means to take it physically outside your house and put it in another place. But to take away the rubbish means to dispose of, to take it away, and then they deal with the rubbish outside. But for food in restaurants, it's exactly the same, isn't it? To take out or to take away.
And of course, there's the meaning you probably know is to physically take something out of something. So you take a pen out of your pocket, you take the money out of your wallet or out of your purse. To put out, now that has several meanings. Obviously, there's the physical one. If you are a cat person, every night maybe you put the cat out, or you put out the cat. So you physically remove the cat from your house and put it out. Have you got a cat?
No, I haven't. No.
You don't put the cat out every night.
No.
But there are other meanings from literally putting something out. You can put out the lights, which means turn off the lights. You can, what else can you put out? A fire, a cigarette, which means extinguish. As Lynn said earlier, there's the full Latin verb to extinguish a fire, or to put out a fire is more common. It's more common to say put out in colloquial English, or put out a cigarette. And the noun output. That's often used when you speak about electronic devices. What's the output of this computer or this mobile phone or this device? It has an electrical output. Obviously, the opposite is input, the current or the electricity that's coming into a device.
And also in production processes, in any kind of manufacturing, they talk about the factory's output, which is all the goods that they manufacture. That's the noun for that, the output.
To pull out of something.
To pull out of something. Well, we just had that before, didn't we? To withdraw. Oh no, we said to back out, didn't
To
we?
back
That's
out. It's very
would it means the
similar.
same? Yeah, we had to back out of something. I remember Craig said he invited me to a party. I said I would make the cake, and then I changed my mind, and he said you backed out of making the cake. You can also pull out of the party, which means you withdraw, you change your mind. That's to pull out. Pull out is often used, I think, for sporting competitions, isn't it?
Yes.
So we say things like Rafael Nadal has pulled out of the championship because of an injury. Maybe he's decided to not be in the competition anymore. He has had to pull out because of an injury. So if you change your mind, you pull out of something.
There's another meaning of pull out, the phrasal verb. When you're driving a car,
Ah, yes, of
you
course.
pull out into traffic, which means
Mhm.
you join the traffic. You're maybe parked or you've stopped at the side of the road, and to begin driving in traffic, you use the phrasal verb to pull out, which maybe in the full verb will be to incorporate into the traffic.
Incorporate, which is very strange because it's the opposite, isn't it? Incorporate is to join, and when in the
Yeah.
other example with Rafa Nadal, it's actually to leave the competition. So that's a very strange one.
But it should
Yeah,
be no, but pull over is to stop in the car, but
is to stop,
you can also say pull in with a car.
pull
You
in.
can pull in to a petrol station and then pull out.
Yeah, pull out is very that meaning, I think, with the cars is very specific. Yeah. Otherwise, pull out of, the direction is backwards. Yeah, or to go forwards. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
To
pull
pull out
out
of a
of, to
competition.
withdraw, and then, but with cars and driving, to pull out has a specific meaning.
Rollout. Very common, it's used very often at the moment with the vaccine
Ah,
rollout, the
yes.
rollout of vaccinations. That's the noun, a rollout, and to roll out something. Physically, we said before, there's a literal meaning very often. You can roll out a carpet. If you roll a carpet up, that means it's very tight. And the opposite is to roll it out.
And I
on
think
the
it has
floor.
that meaning of extend, which is what you do when you roll a carpet out. And then, of course, with the vaccines, it's to extend the implementation of the vaccine. Yeah. So to roll something out is to extend the project, to make it go to a wider audience. Rollout is often used for projects in business as well, all sorts of projects, computer projects, production projects.
And
Usually they
software
have software, they usually have
updates.
a planning stage, and then they have an implementation stage or a rollout, which is where they extend it to the users.
Speaking
And
of
in your case with your course, Craig, you're doing a test now. You're doing like an experimental phase, and then when it's over, you will roll out your course to other users.
if it's successful, there's there's
I'm sure it will be.
speaking of carpets, which we were, what do you
Mm-hmm.
do when your carpet gets dirty and full of dust? What do you do with it?
Ah, I know.
You shake it
How?
out. Another separable phrasal verb with the pronoun in the middle. Shake the carpet out. Shake it out. Get rid of the dust and the dirt.
I also shake my clothes out when I've washed them from the washing machine before I hang out the clothes. Yeah, with the pegs on the thing. Before I hang out the clothes, I shake them out to get rid of the creases. Do you
Get rid
do
of the
that?
creases. I don't usually hang out the washing.
Oh no, do you use a dryer?
That's not one of my household tasks.
Ah.
I wash up, I put the shopping away, I sometimes clean the floor, but I don't hang up
You
or
don't hang
shake
out the
out
washing.
the washing. It's not one of
Oh,
my
okay.
things.
It's not one of your things.
Although maybe this year there might be some new tasks in the house that will be rolled out to me. Let's see. I don't know. We mentioned before that one way of using out is with the sense of extinguishing something. And we mentioned put out with, for example, putting out a fire, putting out a cigarette, for example, extinguishing it. You could also use phase out for this idea of extinguishing something. Can you think of anything that would be phased out over time?
Yes, definitely. If you think of the energy crisis now with
Oh,
oil and
yes, yes.
petrol and gas, all the fossil fuels, most of the world has agreed that in the next 100 years, we will phase out the use of fossil fuels, the use of gas and oil, and that we will introduce more sustainable forms of energy like solar or wind power. So to phase out means gradually you are going to extinguish the use of something. That's to phase out. Mhm.
Do you think paper books will ever be phased out?
No.
I can see some behind you there, so they're not phased
I've
out in
got
your house.
as long as I live, no, they'll all be here. maybe when I get older, if there are no fossil fuels, maybe I have to burn them to stay warm. But I'm still buying books. No.
And the next one we have is to sit out. You can sit out, obviously, physically, you can sit outside, you can sit out in the sun, you can sit out on the balcony, you can sit out in the street. Sometimes here in Valencia, I see the neighbors sitting out when it's a nice day on the pavement, enjoying the weather, enjoying the sun. Are there any other meanings of sit out that come to mind?
There is another meaning, and the meaning, but we have to have an object. So we sit something out. And this meaning is the sense of persevering or waiting. So I might say, let's say we have a situation. Let me think of a situation. Let's say in your job, you work in a company and your job has become very difficult at the moment because one of the managers wants a completely new organization of the place. And there's a lot of resistance to that proposal. And some of your colleagues are confronting the manager. Yeah. So they're saying, we don't want to do this. And the manager's saying, you have to do this. And they're confronting each other. Maybe a group of people decide they're not going to align themselves with the manager or the rest of the colleagues. And they're just going to sit out the situation. They're going to sit the situation out, which means they're just going to wait and see before they make their mind up. That is to sit something out. And it's the idea of persevering and just waiting and making your mind up later. Would you agree?
Yeah, and you often hear
Yeah.
the expression, I'm going to sit this
Sit it
one
out.
out.
Uh-huh.
Or sit this one out. Are you going
Which
to
means you're
vote?
not going to
No.
participate. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You're not going to participate. You're going to sit it out. Mm-hmm.
We mentioned at the beginning the idea of being out or going out with the idea of outside. The next phrasal verb, to wear out, obviously you wear clothes. One meaning of this phrasal verb, you could just say, well, this shirt is really, really comfortable. Actually, it is, but I don't wear it out. I don't wear it outside. I don't wear my slippers out. I only
You
wear
don't
them
wear them
in.
out. Uh-huh.
No, I don't wear
Okay.
them out.
Uh,
I only wear it inside because it's not really for the street. It's not for going out. It's not
uh-huh.
for being out. But there's another meaning of wear out, isn't there? If you keep something for years and years and years, it starts to wear out,
Mm-hmm.
which in Spanish you might say disgustar, I think you say. Is
Uh-huh.
that correct?
Yeah, and I think it has a sense of exhaust. Yeah. So if you wear out your clothes, you can't use them anymore because they are old and rotten. Uh-huh. And in that sense of exhausting, it's all a little bit in this field of extinguish. You know, we had the idea of the cigarette being put out. We had the idea of to phase out, which means to stop using something. And to wear out also has this idea of extinction. It's this exhaustion. And you can also wear somebody out, Craig, can't you? Do you want to
Yeah.
explain that one?
Well, maybe somebody talks too much. Maybe we're talking too much. Maybe we're wearing you out. Maybe you're feeling tired and you're Steve. Like, oh, Lynn and Craig, they do go on. They don't stop talking. They're wearing me out. They're tiring me. They're exhausting me. So you can wear someone out. But everything eventually wears out, doesn't it? The tires on your car, they will wear out with time. Everything you have in the house, if you keep it long enough, it will wear out. It will exhaust itself.
And sometimes we also say, I'm worn out as an adjective. I'm worn out,
Exhausted.
which means I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm worn out. I'm really tired. I'm worn out. Okay.
Those are the main phrasal verbs. We've got some. Do we have time for some phrases and idioms, or shall we recap the phrasal verbs we've covered so far? What would you like in the chat? Would you like us to continue for a few minutes more with more phrases and idioms? Or shall we end there and go back and review what we've done so far?
Have we worn you out? Yeah, Eduardo says too many outs to remember.
Yeah.
Chloe says yes.
So she's not
game.
worn out. She's game.
Not worn out. She's game.
Okay, let's look at a few phrases and idioms for the last 5 minutes.
I think the phrases and idioms are interesting because with the phrasal verbs, if you hear the phrasal verbs in context, if you hear them in listenings, and if you remember those 3 basic movements, out meaning not in, so the location, out meaning the movement of direction, or out meaning extinguish, exhaust, burnt out. Eduardo said, wonderful, Eduardo. You're burnt out, which means you're exhausted. If you've got that feeling of that word out, usually if you hear it in English, a new phrasal verb, probably you will understand it. So that's good. So let's go to the phrases and idioms because these are nice to use, I think.
Yeah, well, we said to be out, to go out, but you can have a night out. If you have a night out, that's very, very positive. You go out to a restaurant, maybe you go to a club or the theater, you have a really, really good time. You have a night out and you can be out, which is obviously the opposite of being in. Like, where's Lynn? Oh, she's out. She's gone out for the night, or she's out shopping. She's out at the shop. She's out at the bank. So if you're out, obviously you're not in. There was another
and you don't
meaning
have to say where you are. You can just say she's out right now. She's out.
Out can, in this sense, with the verb to be, can also mean unconscious. You can be out like a light, which means you've just fallen asleep, like Eduardo will be when we finish this class. He'll be worn out and he'll be out like a light. He'll be out. And you can also be out if you lose consciousness. So if you hit your head or you have an accident, you could be out, which means to lose consciousness.
And earlier we were talking about knockout, right? So we said you were knocked out with the vaccine. The vaccine knocked me out, which is KO, knocked out, isn't it? KO.
Knockout.
And like a knockout in the boxing. Yeah. And sometimes I often use the phrase, I'm out for the count. Have you ever used that phrase, Craig?
Yeah, like in boxing.
I'm out for the count, and that comes from boxing when one of the boxers hits the other one falls on the ground, and then the referee starts counting 1, 2, 3, 4, And then after a certain
It says,
number, if he
"You're
doesn't
out."
stand up, you're out.
That doesn't mean he's gone to the pub. That means he's unconscious.
He's unconscious. So if you want to exaggerate how tired you are, how deeply you are sleeping, or how exhausted you are, you say, I was out for the count. I was out for the count. Or I was out for 6. Do you say out for 6?
Yeah, that's a cricket idiom.
Is
Yeah.
that a cricket idiom? Oh, okay,
Mhm.
right. We'll
But
not go there.
years ago, I went cycling with a Spanish friend of mine, and we cycled many kilometers, a long way. And I spoke to him the next day on the phone, and he used a lovely expression in Spanish, which I sometimes use the translation in English. I said, "How did you feel, Emilio, when you got back from the bicycle ride yesterday?" He said, "I was like a piece of spaghetti. Or was it a piece of wet spaghetti on the sofa?" Which means he was completely out. He was out like a light, like a piece of
But that's not
spaghetti.
English. That's not English,
It
people.
doesn't
Don't
work,
say you're like a wet spaghetti on
but
the sofa. That's
I
not.
really like it. I really
I
like
like
it.
that.
Just like a piece of spaghetti on the
Uh-huh.
sofa. It's exactly
Yeah.
how he was.
Out and about. Uh-huh.
Out and about. That's nice because it rhymes, has the same vowel sound together. Out and about. So to be out and about is to be doing things outside. Oh, he's out and about. He's, I don't know, he's in town doing things in the city centre. To be out and about. Busy outside. You can be out in a game. If you play a game and you're losing, let's say there are 4 players and you've completely lost, then you're out. You're not participating anymore. You've lost. You're out of the game. So
Or
you're
out of a
out.
tournament, for example, if you think of tennis, for example, Wimbledon, yeah, there's different rounds. And as the rounds go forward, various players are out. They're out of the tournament.
As Eduardo says, we're running out of time. Very
We
good.
certainly are.
You certainly are. So we'll just go back very quickly and revise what we've spoken about so far, with the hope that you'll remember some of these and write down your favorite ones and use them in an email or when you're speaking in English next time, so that they become not out, but in your head and in your vocabulary. So we had to go out, to be out, to be outgoing. Outgoing is the adjective, the opposite of introverted, shy, timid.
We had to stand out or outstanding. Stand out means that it's very noticeable. Outstanding means excellent.
We had to back out of something, which is refuse to do something, to take a step backwards. For example, you committed to go to the restaurant with your friends, but at the last minute or the day before, you said, "No, I'm not going." So you backed out of the occasion.
To hang out or a hangout. To hang out means to spend time with your friends, and usually everybody's going somewhere to meet together. So often it could be outside, it could be inside as well, but to hang out means that you physically go to meet with your friends somewhere.
You can break out of prison. There has been a breakout. That's the noun. And of course, we all know that sometimes viruses break out in society. I don't have to tell you that, I'm sure.
And you can burst out laughing, which means that you suddenly start to laugh. But if you have an outburst, usually it's because you've lost your temper and you're being a little bit neurotic, or your behavior is not, how could I say, it's unexpected, quite sudden.
Yeah. Surprising in a bad way. To cast someone out of society, to push them out, to reject them. You are an outcast from your group. You don't belong.
To come out, there's the physical meaning of leave somewhere, you're coming out of a room. And then we also have the meaning of reveal. So you can reveal your gender, your identity, your gender identity, if you wish, to other people, and you come out as gay or you come out as lesbian. The word outcome has a different meaning, and it means result. So it doesn't mean reveal, but it means result, the outcome.
If you hand something out to someone, you're giving it to them. Often you hand out leaflets or pieces of paper in the street with information, and the noun is a handout.
Takeout, takeaway, that's for food that you buy in a restaurant, but you don't eat inside the restaurant. You take it home to eat or somewhere else.
Put out, the physical meaning, to put the cat outside, for example, and also has the meaning of extinguish, to put out a fire or to put out a cigarette. And output, when you're speaking about an electrical device or an engine, the power that it has.
To pull out of something was the same as to back out of something, which means to change your mind and withdraw.
To roll out, often when we speak about products, to begin something, and a rollout of a new course or a new product, for example.
And to shake out is what Craig doesn't know how to do. You shake out your washing and you hang it on the line.
I know how to do it. I know how to do it. I
You just don't do it.
We had that before. To put out a fire. To phase out, which means to gradually extinguish something. So petrol cars will eventually be phased out.
To sit out means to wait and see. So not to participate actively, but to sit and wait and see.
To wear out, you can wear your clothes outside, or you can become exhausted or very, very tired. Be careful of where it's irregular. So he is worn out, or he was worn out, to be worn out.
Right. And now we hope after this class, you are all going to go out and enjoy yourselves and maybe possibly have a night out. That would be nice.
And if you see us in the street and if you're out and about, don't forget to say hello.
That's right. And to be out in a game. I can't feel that in. We're out of ideas now.
We're out of ideas. We have no more ideas. Thank you for being with us. We hope that you got something out of today's chat or class or session, whatever. And thank you very much to Lynn for being with me this week. Next week, Monica will be here. We'll have a different subject for you. So we hope you'll be able to join us for that. And if you are watching the replay, please join us live next Wednesday at the same time, 8 p.m. Central European time. So have a great week. And we're out of here. We are out of here.
We are out of here. We're leaving. I'm out. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.